And Shane freezes.
We are now live. And am I frozen now? Fuck! I'm opening my beer already, so. Hello and welcome to the second episode of the Crafty Boys, the coolest bloody podcast ever created in Canada. So if you are watching, that makes you even cooler than us. So, who do we have on the show today? We have Alan Ford.
Hey, everybody.
We have David Kelch.
Yay!
Yay! Dead silent. We have Lux Bolton. Yay! Woo! And of course, me, this guy. So,
Burly man.
So, how was everyone's week? We recorded our very first episode last week. It was titled. What's it forgotten now? I fucking wrote the title myself.
Indiana Jones and the Temple
of the Milk Stouts. So, I congratulate us all for enjoying the Milk Stout last week.
Except for me.
Except for you. Why not? Well, what'd you do? What'd you do wrong, man?
I didn't get it. Because I didn't realize I was supposed to be on, and I didn't realize what was going on. So you're like, "Hey, we're doing this, and it's tonight."
Like, hey, by the way, you have 10 minutes to go. So this week we've changed it up a little bit. What beer are we having this week, Alan? You know all the information about this beer.
Well, David actually suggested this beer, so I will pass it over to him.
What? I don't know a damn thing. I know this.
Okay.
There's the bottle. That's what I know.
The Wells Banana Bread beer made with real bananas, supposedly.
I hope so.
So, long ago, ale was known as liquid bread. We've used our long history of creating the finest malt blends and added fair trade bananas to awaken the senses with a seriously fruity, rich, yet surprisingly versatile banana bread beer. That is from the bottle, right there. So, I'm fully informed as to what this beer is all about.
There you go.
Does it taste like banana bread?
I'm about to find out, because
apparently it does. But
the ritual
let's
of my podcast here, this is what I do. I'm going to pour it into a glass, let it breathe a little bit. Oh my god, it smells like bananas.
It does, a little.
And it does indeed taste like banana bread. Wow, that is amazing. That is actually very good. I honestly didn't have a whole lot of hope for this one because it's banana bread beer. But I gotta say, I give this one
a vote of confidence, buddy.
Well, I was I was nervous. So anyway, this is made by Wells and Young's Brewing Company. They're out of Bedford, UK, and wherever the hell that is. Bedford,
in the UK.
Locke? Well, I know it's in the UK. Locke, do you know where Bedford is roughly?
Yeah. No, let me think. It's.
I could look it up, but I'm lazy. So.
North of London. And I'm trying to remember whether it's east or west.
It's only an hour-long show, Lockhart.
Yeah, well, it'd be south.
So I looked it up now, and it is about. It looks like it's roughly an hour north of about northwest-ish kinda, but more or less north. It's about. It looks like just northeast northeast of Milton Keynes or Keynes or however you pronounce it.
Yeah.
So. Well, thank you for coming to the show, everybody. That's the whole show. That's it. We're done. No, I'm kidding. This show, what the whole idea of this thing is we, of course, are a bunch of dudes that drink beer, and we like beer. Beer is good for you. It makes you big and strong. And, of course, when men drink beer, men, like, well, as in men, because we have women that'll tell you otherwise, we drink this beer, and then we talk about man stuff, which, by the way, if you want to track what we're talking about online, you can follow the hashtag manstuff, because I just happened today to Google that just randomly. I found nothing. So now we have our own man stuff hashtag.
Oh, my God, that's awesome.
So So there you go. So hopefully we'll keep that for a while. But basically, yeah, we talk about man stuff. Last week we talked about whether or not Indiana Jones would really survive the situations he was found in. Starting off, of course, with him falling out of a plane with a
inflatable life raft.
Inflatable life raft. I was going to call it a life preserver. Dork thinks he's going to drown. So this week, the topic is, of course, football. We had the Super Bowl on Sunday. Well, we didn't. We're Canadians. We don't have this.
Other people did.
But the NFL had the Super Bowl, and I did watch it. Did you guys watch it at all?
I did.
I did not.
I saw highlights.
Well, I have to say the game was boring as all hell because the teams they were evenly matched in that particular game. So I got to watch these teams basically score on each other, but then the other team would score again and blah 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 blah. And it got up to the point where they were, I think, 24-28 somewhere in there, and the worst pass ever thrown by man was made. They were at second and goal. They were like they could have farted their way across the goal line, and the guy decided to throw it, this far, and it didn't make it because it was intercepted right on the goal line, which kind of sucked. I mean, okay, they made a really bad call at a bad time, but I gotta say that throughout the entire game, I'm used to the CFL, and watching NFL games is somewhat painful because the end zone is only 10 yards deep, where in the CFL it's 20, and the field is slightly shorter, but quite a bit wider, about 15 yards wider, I think. So there's a lot more passing and not so much running, I think, because they also have 4 downs rather than 3 downs, which I sort of equate to being pussies.
Oh man, that's American bait if I ever heard it. Jesus.
But really,
As
compared to CFL, isn't NFL a lot more stopping and starting? Like it's more of a chess game and it's less like rugby.
Yeah, that's true. Because the CFL really comes off very much like rugby. Because it's the only game. It's the only football games that I've ever seen the pass back. Where in rugby you throw the ball behind you.
Right.
And in CFL, I don't know if it happens in the NFL. Maybe I just haven't seen it there. But I have seen on 2 or 3 occasions where they actually have done a pass back, which is a legal move in the CFL. So, but it's very rare. I mean, they're always traditionally throwing, forward. But there have been a couple times where there has been a receiver has caught the ball, has run a little bit, and then has done a pass to somebody else. And I remember thinking, they can't do that. And they were like, no, actually they can. It's rarely ever used, but it is a rule that they say they can. Which I guess must be a throwover from rugby. Because I gather football came from rugby. I don't even know if that's true.
I think that's the agreed origin. I don't know how they ended up getting as far, off into their own thing in the NFL. I don't know how that developed exactly, but I mean, at this point it's quite different. Like all the the massive shoulder pads and everything. I sort of don't understand it on some level, except that when you got big guys and you're throwing them at each other, I suppose you don't want to break any necks or anything, right?
That is true. I wouldn't want to break anything.
What I'd be interested in is if there's more injuries in football than there are in rugby, and what kind of injuries.
Well,
what I understand, football guys get the shit kicked out of them.
Well, I know that a lot of the sort of injuries that you see or hear about anyway are generally sort of on but depends on what positions they play. So I mean, of course, you see like I was going to call them the football players, the quarterbacks when they're throwing the ball. Of course, they rack their arms a lot. And I did actually see a game. I think it was last season in the CFL where I think it was Edmonton. They lost their their quarterback because he took it, like he got sacked, but he got sacked in that way where there was a bunch of people in front of him, and one guy just sort of tried to leap over the crowd, and they nailed like head on, and the guy went down, smashed his head on the turf, and then didn't really move after that. So that it ended his career for like, well, the end of for the rest of the season. I mean, it was done, but. Then of course you have the runners and then the incredible sort of hits once in a while you see, like people getting grabbed. The one thing I noticed actually in this particular game for the Super Bowl was the violence that, because there's a thing where you can grab somebody's face mask and you yank on their head. Mm. The thing that I saw in this game, there was two occasions where the players were nowhere near the action, like the ball was up the field somewhere. And they were just getting into scuffles, and they were just yanking up each other's face masks, and I can't imagine what that does to your neck. Like,
not good things.
It probably hurts.
It probably.
I find it interesting that American football is, I mean, it's a violent sport on the field, whereas English football is a violent sport in the stands and on the field.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, wasn't there a film with Elijah Wood, probably 5-6 years ago, called
Lord of the Rings?
No, that was before that.
Okay.
It came out, I think, 2005, 6, somewhere in there. It was called something like The Green Street Hooligans or something like that. And I gather it was all about Elijah Wood was playing a character who I think he was an American that moved to the UK or something, and he was basically introduced to this world of this sort of underground, awesome level of fandom that gets around sort of soccer and whatnot, and it was quite. I haven't seen the whole thing. Unfortunately, I only saw about half of it because I had to leave, but it was quite. It's scary, like what these sort of, I guess, essentially street thugs were doing, running around. It's, what team do you cheer for? Oh, I cheer for blah. We don't like that team, and then they start to beat you with beer bottles and shit like that. Which, and the movie came out around the same time that whole thing where UK pubs were trying to replace their pint glasses with like safety glass, so that if you did smash it, it would just kind of crumble in your hand, and you couldn't use it as a weapon.
Wow.
Yeah. Did you see that? Do you remember that? It was a few years ago, but yeah, there was a few pub chains were trying to stop violence with glassware because people were just busy stabbing each other, I guess, quite a bit, which is really scary and pretty awful. But I don't know, Locke, have you actually, because you're probably the most worldly traveled man ever at least that I know. Did you actually ever experience like a soccer game? A football game in the UK?
Yeah. I went to see Newcastle United in Newcastle once. Yeah, I mean, it was fun. I mean, rowdy. I wouldn't say anything particularly bad happened at that one. You got people getting sort of quite enthusiastic about supporting their teams and stuff, but you didn't get anybody crushed to death or anything like that. So it was fine. It was a fun thing to do. Yeah, I mean, I've been to see some CFL. I've never seen an Aussie rules football game.
That I would love to see, because the few Australian friends that I do have always tell me, or people that I know that have lived in Australia always tell me that if you go to Australia, you need to see two sports. You need to see cricket, but you also need to see the Australian rules rugby / football / basically kill everybody as fast as you can on the field. And I watched a bit of stuff on YouTube, and holy shit! I mean, there's things that happen in those games that the CFL, the NHL would be like, Jesus Christ, what? Even the Flyers enforcers from the 70s, my God, they would have been like all blushing, going, really? Wow, geez, you can do that to people on the field? But I don't
know about that. Have you seen some of the videos of some of the NHL games in the 70s?
I have not. And that's the thing, is the only reason I know anything about the Philadelphia Flyers from back then was having a bunch of cards a bunch of cards, the hockey cards way back then, which sucks because I know I had rookie cards, multiple copies of Gretzky back then, which really made me sad because I lost them or got rid of them. You know, it wasn't that interested at the time when I was younger. So, I mean, you know, granted, this is 1979, 80, you know, that kind of era, right? So, I was only in grade 1, so
you probably threw them against the wall anyways, right?
Oh yeah, no, we totally did that. We did the whole thing where you took the cards.
I remember doing that. We used to go out, we'd try to score goals and whoever. Yeah, I mean, it was fun.
It was a blast. I remember doing that, and I did that actually with my Indiana Jones cards. The Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Raiders.
Things like that. So those are pretty cool. And I also had Star Wars cards at one point. And who do I know that actually has full sets of those things? David Corey. David Corey has a full set in a jacket, you know, in like the flip book things of Indiana Jones and Star Wars and a couple others. I hope he better fucking still have those because those are amazing. So anyway, we've talked about football and cards. Wow, we're real men. So anything else about the game? Anything else that, or anything else that happened in the last week that's a manly topic?
Well, I watched the game. You know, I'm not a football fan. I love sports, but my sports are baseball and hockey. Right. But I still watched it, and I enjoyed what I saw. It seemed to go a lot faster to me than Super Bowls in years past. Like I think it was last year's 2014 Super Bowl. The game was 3.5 hours long, and there was only 17 minutes of actual play. The rest of it was them standing around, trying to figure out what play they were gonna do, and beer commercials.
But I mean, that really it's very much a like. It's not just the game. It's like this whole cultural thing down there where it's Super Bowl. It's like everybody's gotta get their product releases timed up with Super Bowl. It's like a kind of Christmas or something.
Well, especially since the whole thing with the commercials, when the commercials started, and the commercials, the blockbuster commercials didn't really start, I gather, from what I was reading, less than 10 years ago. Like
I think it's a fairly recent phenomenon. Yeah.
So they have these, you know, and of course anybody who hasn't watched the Super Bowl or heard about the Super Bowl commercials, as Locke was saying, they have this incredible sort of lead up to something, films, TV shows, you know, products of different kinds. Actually, wasn't it the Budweiser frog commercial that started all this?
Oh, actually.
Budweiser. Like, I vaguely remember that, but I did recall seeing it years and years ago. But, you know, it was just kind of that big thing that sort of started and somehow has just continued going. And here it's funny. The CRTC is talking about possibly forcing the providers of the feed from Super Bowl next year to actually play the Super Bowl commercials, because being that we're Canadian, we don't actually see the Super Bowl commercials on Canadian feeds because they replace them with, you know, whatever local provider it is. So we actually missed them, and I only was able to see a couple of them watching them on YouTube the next day. So did you guys?
Well, and ultimately, YouTube is an awesome resource for all that kind of stuff, because I missed the game entirely, and then I went on later and caught little bits and pieces. What did any comments on Katy Perry's riding around on a mechanic? Well, no, it was puppeted tiger and stuff, and I mean, whatever else I can say, Missy Elliott's looking good these days. She's lost some weight.
Actually, I didn't even know that was Missy Elliott till partway through when somebody said, "Oh yeah, that's that Elliott girl," and I had no idea. I had no clue that was her, because looking at her, didn't recognize her at all. So kudos for her for doing that for health and stuff. But the puppeted tiger, I think, was the highlight for me, because I like that kind of stuff. Like, there's a lot of stuff in Europe that I've seen where they are doing like two-story puppets where they have people running around being attacked by spiders and all kinds of stuff and all this, whatever it is. But I enjoyed that part. Just the whole fact that she's on. I mean, I don't know Katy Perry at all. I don't listen to her music, and people were saying, "Oh, this is her great tune." I'm like, never heard it. So, but it was kind of cool just to watch this woman on this big, huge. Was it a lion? It was a lion, wasn't it?
I think it was a tiger.
A tiger?
I'm saying tiger because the song has the word tiger in it, but it didn't look like it. It looked more like a lion.
It actually looked like a transformer. But
actually, that's a good call. Like a transformer.
Yeah, I was expecting,
It's over, Prime. But yeah, so he or she, sorry, did the tiger thing, and I have to, of course, make comment of what the hell was it with the stupid SpongeBob SquarePants number?
Yeah. Now look, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, Noam Chomsky has apparently gone on and made some elaborate analysis of that particular number, which to me kind of gives you an idea of how flaked out Chomsky's become lately. But
well, he's almost 80 years old. I mean, he should be retiring, you'd think.
Yeah.
All right, I'm looking this up. I want to know what he says. So keep talking, boys.
Apparently there's something going on with the sharks. I lost on me, but
well, there were sharks, there were surfboards, there was beach balls, waves. It was this whole mishmash of beach type stuff, but it was like it seemed really tame. The whole show.
Sharks being jumped?
No. The whole show seemed kind of tame to me, not like what you would expect from Katy Perry,
$10 just she was told to tone it down.
Oh, probably.
I thought it was interesting that she brought out Lenny Kravitz for "Kissed a Girl" because I mean, it kind of kept it from being like too lesbianish. I think for like an NFL crowd, if you see what I mean. Massive stadium show. There's going to be. I mean, Americans get weird about that stuff. They get uncomfortable and stuff. So bringing Kravitz out for that tune. Now he's singing "I Kissed a Girl," and all of a sudden it's like, wow, this is as heterosexual as it comes, right?
Well, I remember last year. Was it last year or the year before?
I'd be all about it, actually.
Yeah. Well, I remember last year or the year before, the CFL had Peanut Butter Boy. What's his name?
Peanut Butter Boy.
Famous Canadian singer dude who became.
Lord, yeah. No,
Justin Bieber. Oh my God. Blah. They had Justin Bieber and the girl who did the song "Call Me Maybe," whose name escapes me at the moment.
Oh, Carly Rae Jepsen.
Carly Rae Jepsen, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So they had those two. They were the two acts for that particular halftime show, and she came out and and I'm trying to just sort of draw a parallel here somewhat to Katy Perry because even though the whole performance for her was very, as you guys are saying, was kind of tame, the Jepsen girl came out. She did her song or half her song or whatever it was, and she was really working the crowd. Like she was really into it. And then Bieber comes out and they kick her off, and then he's on for twice as long. And he was basically trying to do his rap thing. I guess he's a rapper now, or at least the songs that he was doing were rap tunes. But the audience at the stadium was booing him. So it was,
I wasn't at the stadium. I was booing him from home, but
I would have been too. I remember muting it because I didn't care about him. I liked her. I thought she was fine, but then he came out and was doing this sort of. I mean, the energy levels were so different because she came out. People were going crazy because she did the crazy song because that was big at the time. So it must be 2 years ago now. And then he came out and it was just like the audience died, like because it's this thing where people are hating on Bieber right now because he's going through the young adult awkward stage of trying to figure out who he is, but of course he has too much money and not
and
enough.
He's doing it in full public view.
Well, exactly, and that's the problem, because we all did that at that age. We acted like turds, the age of 20, 21.
I didn't act like Justin Bieber. I'm sorry.
Well, okay, well we
didn't
all
have the money
out
to, Alan.
No. But I kind of wonder if he's being advised to act that way.
It's possible, because he would definitely be in the news more often.
I mean, he must have advisors.
Sorry, what were you saying, Locke?
Well, okay, you know how Vanilla Ice at some point decided he was going to butch up and try to go gangster rap? I wonder if we're ever going to see Bieber try that, because that would be funny.
It would actually be quite entertaining, because he's the quintessential success story of just how sideways you can go, because the part of actually the other thing I was saying is that he did actually defend himself on the CFL stage. Because he was saying, this is really me, this is who I am, and it's like, fuck off, we've seen you on YouTube playing the piano and singing like, Elton John tunes, and I don't know, he's just very much the, I mean, I don't listen to his music because it's not my thing. Were he an AC/DC, I would listen to him, but but definitely not. I mean, I like rap and I enjoy that style of music, but I'm very much in the old school NWA sort of appreciation. I don't particularly. I find that R&B and rap have kind of married themselves lately in the last decade or so, because, I enjoyed. Although, granted, I do give it up for Eminem, because I do like his stuff too, but
you really give it up for him.
I honestly, I tell you, that guy's lyricism is really, really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not too much into the whole, I'm Eminem and I'm the tough kid from the streets, but I have to give it up because I'm a poetry fiend. So I read his stuff and I appreciate it way more than I do watching it. So, but that's just me. That wasn't very manly. Damn it! I like poetry. Fuck you! I'm leaving. Oh shit! So anyway, tits, boobies. Okay, I'm fine now.
All right. On the beer subject, just bringing us back from. Now I missed out on the Wells because I got the message kind of late. But what I have with me is Fat Tug. That is
nice.
In the brand new fancy bottle.
What? Show.
Put it up.
Piece of like bottle art I've seen out of these guys who do good bottle art. In like.
Wow. That's actually impressive, man.
This thing is unbelievable. As a guy who's done graphic design and that kind of stuff, this isn't something that they just coughed out overnight. And further, the expense in this thing, like it's die cut, so weird shape of label with a hole in it, like a complicated die cut. The label is metallic, so it's got a sheen to it. They've got this giant sea hop over here. It's like a cactus-like sea hop, and it's got a little tugboat up here, and the rest of it's rocky seas and everything, and Fat Tug IPA. This isn't just marketing. This is a victory dance. These guys must be making a lot of money, is my guess.
Who actually makes Fat Tug? That's
Driftwood. That's a Victoria product.
So it is Driftwood, yeah. Because I for the longest time, probably for about a good year, pretty much anywhere that I got a pitcher of beer somewhere. I mean, you've been there for these, Locke, where it's like, what have you got? A Fat Tug, and that's it. With no other discussion. We don't look at anything else. As soon as somebody says, "Oh, we have Fat Tug," done.
For anybody who doesn't like IPAs, Fat Tug is a good one to try.
That is true, because it's not overly,
It's not.
Yeah, Dave. Hey, Dave, would you like to?
That was aimed at you, Dave.
Dave, would you like to give us your anti-IPA rant? That'll cover at least a good 30 minutes.
Oh no, I've got better rants than that. That would cover more than 30 minutes. But no, I just some people have I think it's lack of bitter. So they dig the bitter stuff, which is IPAs. And that's not me. I've got the bitter. So I'm not a fan of the IPA stuff. But actually, before we got going, Alan was working me over there and saying, you gotta kind of pick and choose because some are more hardcore than others, right? So we'll see. We'll see. I know I'm gonna have to have some eventually, right? Because there's dozens of them out there, hundreds.
I was gonna say, like, Locke, what is your favorite IPA?
My favorite IPA, I actually think I might need to go with the it's a hard one, but I'm going to say Green Flash's Imperial.
Really? Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's a double IPA. That one's way up there. I got to say, what have I drunk the most of over the years? Almost undoubtedly, it would be Spinnaker's Blue Bridge.
Oh yeah,
that's a good one.
Spinnaker's makes good beer. Yeah. Actually, Spinnaker's was where I was introduced to the concept of a growler. Before I saw growlers in Vancouver, because normally when I was buying stuff in Vancouver, you of course, if you wanted something more than just a 6-pack or something, or if you wanted something just one thing of something, then it was unique bottles like this, the bigger. Sort of the bigger, like the bottle you have, Locke, like the sort of the larger size, big
bomb.
We go bombers.
How big are they?
Well,
so these are half a liter.
They're a pint.
I think it's a 650.
So they're a full pint. Okay, yours is 650. So basically, that's what you would get. And then I went to Victoria, I don't know, 3 years ago, and I went to Spinnaker's with you, Locke, and that's where I saw these things called growlers. I was very excited, so I bought a bunch. And then I brought a couple bottles back to Vancouver, and then it must have been within 6 months of that suddenly growlers started popping up at all the places here too, which was weird because a lot of them, they didn't have pouring rooms. They just had you went into the tasting room and that was all you could get. Yeah. But so I don't know, something happened where growlers became a thing.
Yeah. Well, look, it's a good idea. I mean, in a recycling world, you're not creating a whole lot of extra glass that's just getting smashed up and having to be remelted in order to get used again. It does mean you got to clean them. Now, something hilarious. The folks at the 4 Mile, they started doing growlers, and they had a smaller size too that they were doing. And someone, I can't remember who, but it got the bright idea of calling them meowlers.
Which is funny because I've actually spread that along here because they're getting the 1 liter or the 1.5 liters or whatever the size they are. Yeah. And I actually started telling them that they're called meowlers. So I've actually seen meowlers written on like the chalkboards, and I take full claim for that because of you, Locke. Thank you for that.
Well, I give that one to the 4 Mile boys,
But yeah, because what do you call them? You have a growler. What do you call the other thing? Meowler. Why not?
Well, that's actually a good thing to have because I find a growler. I mean, obviously, it's too much to have for one person in one sitting, and it doesn't maintain its freshness for like a few days. So the 1.5 liter one's probably a better option.
Yeah, I've got more smaller ones than the bigger ones. Yeah. Sorry, Locke? Oh, yeah, I was going to say, Locke, I've actually tried to, I did this last weekend too, Locke, on Friday night. Tried to match Locke beer for beer, and that usually either ends up where I'm comatose, or I just wake up the next day and I have a really slow day. And Allison always goes, well, it's because you had 4 pints, and Locke had 6, and then you had 2 more. And to match him, and then, Locke is like 9 feet tall, where you're like 3.5 feet tall, Shane. So and it doesn't really match, which is kind of amusing. But I still will try, and I will not stop. If I find, I don't know who you are, but if I find you, I will hunt you down, and I will drink your beer. Did anyone see the Liam Neeson commercial?
No.
Yes, I think I did.
Did you? You did it. He did it. There's an online video game called Clash of Clans.
Yeah.
And he did his whole Taken movie thing because he's now done 3 Taken films, which I think the 3rd one comes out soon, which is the one where basically it's like there's no one else to take, so Who are they taking this time? I gather the first two films, it was first the daughter, and then it was the wife or something. But so he's got no children left apparently. So there you go. But yeah, so he did the whole thing with Clash of Clans. He had his little phone, and he was at like a coffee shop getting a donut or something. And anyway, it was amusing. So I'd check it out. Definitely check it out.
Nice.
But what other manly things have happened this week? We've had football. Did anyone? Did actually? I guess did Canadians do this? I've never done this, but a tailgate party before a football game. Have you guys done this?
Yeah. I've done that at Stamps games in Calgary.
I've actually never done that because there's really, well, I guess living in Vancouver, there's really no place to do it. Like, does the Saddle Dome have like a large parking lot outside somewhere, or?
Well, they don't do it at the Saddle Dome. They do it up at McMahon Stadium. So that's okay. There's a little more room there. It's more parkish up there. So
yeah, they don't. I don't. Well, not that I've really done a whole lot of research on this, but I have not seen this done in Vancouver at all. I know that there has been some sort of outdoor festivities regarding football games here, which I've seen a few of those, but they're really geared towards kids and stuff like that. Like, they have inflatable bouncy castles on, Beatty Street and whatnot. But the NHL hockey games that happen at the GM, sorry, what's it called now?
Rogers Center.
Rogers Center. Although Vancouverites still refer to it as the Garage.
Yes.
So, but I've seen a few sort of parties because they have a parking lot right across the street, which is right there. So they've done stuff there, but I don't know. I feel like I've missed out. Hey, Allison McGrain, everybody!
Hey.
Who's drinking my beer now? This is the banana bread beer. What do you think? Tell everybody what you think.
It's definitely iffy. That's my official review.
All right, she's giving it an iffy review.
Huh.
It's gonna hurt the fan. So I kind of feel like I've missed out on the whole tailgate party. My God.
Well, maybe we should do that.
Well, that's kind of what I was leading up to. Is that I think that at some point we should have a tailgate party either before an NHL game or before a football game.
Oh, it doesn't have to be an NHL game. It could be a WHL game.
That's true. Actually, that's actually something I did with Alan and Terry, who you guys know, and Todd's son, and Caden, and as well as who else was there? Allison was there. Where we went to the Royals game, the team that's in the thing in Victoria, the Save on Food thing, which was very. I want to call it Memorial Arena, but I know it's not called Memorial Arena. It's called.
It actually technically is. It's called the Save on Foods Memorial Arena.
Exactly. It's like when they tried to call the Science World Telesphere. Yeah, that didn't last. So anyway, but I enjoyed that because I have not been to a Royals game ever, but it's the first time I've been inside that building as well, which was kind of fun. Which I was surprised that I actually thought when I was in there that could actually have decent musical acts and whatnot in it. Mm-hmm. And then I remember my sister went and saw Paul Anka there at some point.
What?
Well, it was funny. She was in the first row with my mother, and they were watching it because I gather Paul Anka was one of the first sort of big musical acts that came to Victoria for that stadium, or the stadium, yeah. And so he was going down into the crowd and whatnot, and my sister was trying to take pictures of him with her phone, and apparently he walked up to her and grabbed the phone and started singing into it because he thought that she was on the phone, like she wasn't using the phone for a different purpose. That was kind of cute. But then again, it's Paul Anka, right? So,
Well, how old is he? It's got to be like 105.
Yeah, about that. It's kind of like absolutely.
Probably doesn't know how to use a digital device.
Actually, it's kind of funny. Every time I think of Paul Anka, I always think of Neil Sedaka. Mainly because I was a fan of Neil Sedaka, and I still am. I love the guy. I think he's really good. He's kind of, he's sort of an old style, sort of 70s crooner. But this is related to podcasts. I posted a video. Like I took the audio of one of my podcasts, one of the first episodes I did for a different podcast, the Shane Cast, in case you want to listen, and put a picture on it of my face and just let the audio play because I wanted to see, because I have friends who are deaf, like, I don't know, Alan's wife, and because I think it was actually Lisa was saying that she couldn't listen to podcasts because you didn't know what I was saying because they're deaf. So I used the text recognition system inside of YouTube. And in this podcast, there is a short, about maybe 15 seconds of my mother singing a song from the 70s that Neil Sedaka did, which I won't sing here because we might get in trouble. Anyway, they actually dinged me for copyright infringement because my mother was singing to me when I was 5 years old.
Wow.
Seriously?
It's like those nuns that own the rights to Happy Birthday. Yeah, I mean, you know.
It was so sad. It was the song was Happy Birthday, Sweet 16, or it might just be called Sweet 16. But anyway, my mother was singing it to me, and I was singing back to her, and I was 5.5 or 6 or something like that. And yeah, so it was fascinating. So I emailed Neil Sedaka's wife to say, hey, the rights owners, Orchard Music, are telling me that this is illegal. And I never heard back from her. So, Neil Sedaka, if you ever see this, you jerk, get your wife to email me back, man. God.
How old is he?
I'm sure he'll be right on that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, but he's about the same age as why I thought of him. I don't know why. Damn you, old crooners. But I totally forgot where I was going to go with that. There was something else I was going to say, but I'm going to shut up now. For Locke has something to say.
I do.
Good.
Actually, I didn't, but I will. Okay, so tailgate.
Hot seat.
Like, let's max this idea out.
Okay.
If you were the ultimate tailgate party, I mean, first of all, to me, the first step, how about a better tailgate? Monster trucks.
That I could get behind. I would love that. That would be amazing. Could you imagine, like, trying to get behind
it, get up on top of the fucking thing?
And I was like, "You want another hot dog? Let me get the ladder." You know.
Yeah, well.
Actually, Locke would be the ladder. He'd be like, "Go on, here you go."
Ladders. Who needs a ladder?
I saw
a question.
The other day. I was walking down. I don't know what's that street? The one below Hastings, sort of in Gastown there. What is that street? I can't remember. Cordova. I don't know.
I know the one you're talking about. I can't remember the name of it either.
Yeah. Anyway. So I'm walking along there, and it's the first time I've ever seen one of these. They had a stripper pole mounted independently in the middle of the sidewalk, next to some business that apparently does what they call stripper fitness. It's an exercise program where basically women go to learn how to pole dance.
Stripper size.
Yeah, stripper size. And
You've never heard of this?
I mean, they were clothed. They weren't wearing G-strings or anything like that.
Yeah.
Or at least not. They weren't wearing G-strings and nothing else. They might be wearing G-strings underneath. I don't know. But there were chicks doing this on the street, and it was sort of like, what? Whoa! I had no idea you could set up a stripper pole, without having a ceiling.
Yeah.
And I think if you were going to have a tailgate party, having a stripper pole might not be a bad idea. I think you'd be popular.
As long as you had somebody on the stripper pole.
Well, yeah. I mean, you wouldn't find me on the stripper pole, I don't think.
No. Definitely not Shane.
I did find it's on Water Street, and yeah, they have a stripper pole outside. That is fascinating.
I always thought that the perfect business would be to have like a stripper size place and you would have like a mirror so that everybody exercising can watch what they're doing, but have it be like a one-way mirror type of deal, or and then you'd have a bar on the other side with a curtain that opens up so people can order drinks and watch the people stripper size. I think that would be a brilliant way to make money.
Although in Vancouver, the Costco's and a few test supermarkets are going to be selling booze, which they've never done before.
Well, it's not like the world would end. I mean, they sell booze in regular shops in the States. They sell booze in regular shops in the UK. Why don't they sell booze in regular shops in Canada? I can tell you why. It's because it's a government monopoly that they've been...
Oh, exactly.
I mean...
Well, I mean, you look at the Rio Theater here in town on Broadway, where they applied for a liquor license to sell beer when they were playing movies, because lots of movie theaters do it, and the city said no, and then the Rio said, well, fine, then you have to have... Why is that? And they said, well, because children might be in your movie theater, and they said, fine, then you have to tell GM Place, or sorry, Rogers, whatever it's called, you have to take away their license because there's children at hockey games.
Yeah.
And guess what happened? Less than a week later, they had a liquor license.
Wow.
Interesting.
So you can. We should go to some films here in town. We can go drink beer at the same time.
Here's something I found out that I thought was kind of fascinating. So you guys have all been to Ontario, right? You know about the beer stores there?
Yeah.
I fell in love with the one. It was in Ottawa. There was an amazing beer store. It was like multiple levels.
That was a liquor store, Shane.
Oh, that was a liquor store.
No. You have to go to the beer store.
The beer store?
Yeah. No. You got to understand. Beer stores in Ontario, it's like walking into some kind of, 60s
refrigerator.
Soviet experience. It's like they've got you go in, they've got a big placard on the wall showing the beers that you can buy, but you can't actually touch the beers, nor can you go into the freezer. That's all in the back. What they have is a roller conveyor system, and you point at the beer you want, and then somebody else goes and gets the beer and puts it on this roller system so that it rolls out in front of the till, and then you pay for the beer, and then you get to walk away with it. But I mean, it's bizarre. Like I said, it looks like a throwback to Soviet era, communism.
It's distributing for beer.
Yeah, I do recall that was, well, at least wherever my dad bought beer from, which may or may not have been a BC liquor store, way back in the day when I was much, much, much younger. But I do remember going to a place where my dad was buying beer, and then he would, there was a roller system where the beer came from the back storage or whatever. Whether the thing is, I don't know if that was a provincial liquor store or if it was a private one. So
I actually remember that at the pop shop.
Let me.
Yeah, the pop shop too. Yeah.
What we're talking about Ontario here.
Yeah. Sorry.
There are only two places you can buy liquor from stores in Ontario, or at least this was up until I think relatively recently. I think it's a little different with wine. They're more sophisticated with wine in Ontario, but they punish beer drinkers there. You've got liquor stores, that's LCBOs, and you've got beer stores, and they just say beer store on them. And they're these ones with the roller thing. Now, for years, I'm like, this is like, as I said, I mean, it's like totalitarian state kind of stuff. At least that's everything. But what I found out about it, and this really did my head in, is although it is a provincially mandated monopoly, it's not actually owned by the province. They sold that monopoly. It's provincially legislated that it's a monopoly, but it's actually owned three ways by Sapporo, InBev, and Coors Molson. So like basically, or I think it was Coors Molson or was it Budweiser? One of the two, but basically like three of the largest beer companies in the world. So massive corporate entities, and they own this thing, which is a monopoly, legislated all over Ontario. So consequently, if you want to get craft beer in Ontario, it's a hassle, right?
What a pain in the ass. That's got to be illegal somewhere.
Well, no. That's just my point. Is it's legally written into law that's how it works.
Well, it's like right now, if you read the Canadian Competition Act, and you go to, I've forgotten what section it is. I blogged about this on a different podcast, but essentially it is the Crave TV and what is the other one? Crave TV and one of the other Alan, you might know this.
Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember.
Yeah, but there's two new streaming in quotes services that you can't access unless you are a cable subscriber. And if you actually look at the Competition Act in our country, both of those violate the Competition Act, and they should be fined. But no one's said anything about it at the government level, which of course they won't be because no one cares. But just wait until the CRTC gets kicked in the balls again. But anyway, I'm just pointing out that this podcast is now just hit the just over the hour mark. So I think we should probably call it at that because, how much can you really talk about football? Although, granted, next week I think we should talk more about monster trucks because we only touched on that. And I was first exposed to monster trucks at a tractor pull at Western Speedway. And I have a secret love for monster trucks, and I don't know why.
I kind of like to bring up a topic that maybe we can cover next time, but if everybody can sort of think about it over the course of the next week. So in late January, Anheuser-Busch announced a purchase of Elysian Brewing Company in Seattle, Washington. Elysian is a huge craft brewery. They make a lot of really great beers, and now basically they're going to be owned by a company that makes some of the most mass-produced non-craft beers ever. And what this kind of purchasing of small breweries could have an impact on the craft brew business.
Oh, well, totally. Like you look at Granville Island Brewery, which used to be sort of a craft brewery, grew into a larger brewery, but then got bought by Molson's. And
so anyway, for next week.
Next week is going to be about craft brew companies getting eaten up, and somehow we'll connect monster trucks to that.
All right.
Dave, where, Alan, if people wanted to find you online when they're not looking at your face here, where would that be?
I don't know.
This is why I tweeted at you today telling you needed to tweet more. So if you want to find Alan Ford online, you can go to twitter.com/Alan M. Ford, I think was the Twitter account. Is that right?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Cool. Dave, do you have any presence online? I have no idea.
And that's pretty much the answer.
Yeah.
I have a Twitter account that I haven't touched in I don't know how long.
Oh, God. Locke, what about you? Anyone want to be able to find you online? I know that you have a few things here and there, not to mention, which one of them is not Facebook, because you can't get into your Facebook account, and you can't even delete it.
Yeah, no, Facebook is not my friend. But yeah, no, I tried signing on to Twitter the other day because a friend of mine was running for election in Calgary, and if he does again, everybody vote for Dave Kahn, who can be going downtown Calgary Liberal Party. But yeah, I mean, mostly it was just he was setting up his political account, and so I thought, I better show some support here, so I'll sign on to Twitter. And it's the first time I've ever tried it. And so it's still a kind of a new experience to me. I kind of like it because it's
quick and dirty.
Quick and dirty, and I can basically sit there and retweet stuff that interests me and pretend that I'm actually doing something when I'm not. Yeah. So I occasionally get drunk enough to actually write something, but that's usually a mistake. Yeah. So Lockie Fulton. Is my Twitter. So yeah.
And of course I am Shane, and you can Google my name because unlike these yokels for the online world, I have like 17 Twitter accounts, and you'll search me, you'll find me. So yeah, thank you guys for doing this again. Locke, do you want to keep doing this, man?
Oh yeah, sure.
Cool.
I mean, I might need to be a little sporadic because
No, that's totally cool. Because we had who'd we have on last week? We had you, me, and there's somebody else. Dave and.
That was it.
I thought
that was
it.
three.
That's three. Oh man, really? I thought we had somebody cool. Like, wasn't it Tom?
Somebody cool?
Like Tom Selleck? Tom Selleck. So anyway, again, thank you everyone for checking us out. You of course can find this website at thecraftyboys.ca and of course twitter.com/thecraftyboys. And there you go. We're also on Facebook too. If you guys noticed, did you like the logo?
I did.
Logo is cool.
I'm
Open
the guy
clip
kicking.
art, public domain photos, 20 minutes. So there you go. So there we'll and don't forget, we eventually, maybe even starting next week, we will be streaming this live. So right now we're doing it privately, but of course I can flick a switch and it would be streamed live to the entire world, and we might actually have people watching us as we create it. So.
I'm not sure I'm down with that idea.
Well, the problem is I could do it and you would never know. So again, I'm going to bye everybody. Thank you for coming.